You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
I'm joined now by Barry Murphy from Paganini. Barry, you might start by telling me a bit about your own background, please.
Yeah, well, my background has a little bit of a path to travel on it. I was a physiotherapist, started off working as a physiotherapist, came out of college in 1993, went straight to America and I stayed there for 11 years, during which time I worked as a physio for about 6 years. And then after that, I got an opportunity to get into an MBA program at Boston College. I did 2 years in that program, during which time I got a job with a software company selling software, working in partnerships for them. I worked for them for another approximately 4 years. At which time I got an opportunity to come back home to Ireland, back to help out with the family business, which is Paganini Ice-Cream.
So give me a history to the background to the business firstly, please.
Well, before I left for America, my dad had a dairy farm, which I worked on all my life. And we started looking at opportunities in which we could grow our business. At the time, we had some constraints around business growth due to the fact that the quota had just come in, which limited our ability to produce milk, basically. So we had to grow the business, we had to look for ways in which we could utilize the milk in other means. So my dad had the idea to start making ice cream with the milk. We opened up a little shop there near the bridge in Wexford Town. A lot of people listening will probably remember it. It was called Paganini. And the reason we have the name Paganini is because it was an Italian recipe that we used to produce the product. And we sold initially scoop ice cream out of that shop. That was our start.
You started off supplying directly, but you then made the decision to go into the wholesale side of the business. What brought that about?
Yeah, that was a very good decision in hindsight because one of the things we've learned and we continue to learn every day, it's really important to be focused and to be, a manufacturer really means you have to be a manufacturer. So to try and hold all the accounts and sell that product all the way through to where the end user is going to get it is a very difficult task. And when you're a startup company, you've got to, I believe anyway, eliminate all obstacles from your pathway. And one major obstacle is trying to do too much. So my dad actually did a very, what I think was a very strategically great thing at the time. He took all those accounts and he gave them to food service distributors in the southeast of Ireland and the southwest of Ireland and in Dublin as well, where he'd established accounts. And that enabled him to get out of the job of distributing the product and focus on the job of manufacturing it.
So you identified that your core competence was in the manufacturing area and not that in the distributorship, and that's why you decided to go down that particular route.
Yeah, we're our expertise is in dairy really, and we're come from dairy stock. My grandfather had a dairy farm, my father had a dairy farm, and he was looking for something else to do with the milk, and we really got to my dad got to the point very fast where he realized that he had to really focus hard on making a success of the business, and in order to do that he had to take a lot of the obstacles and distractions out of the way and leave distribution to the experts of distribution. So we stuck with the knitting. So
you stuck with the ice cream, but then you developed that into other products. What were they and how did they come about?
Well, there was a natural and easy transition from the ice cream into products such as cheesecakes because it was, again, a very dairy-based product. And the chefs had been asking my father if he could provide them with some confectionery-type products. We started making cheesecakes, again, using the dairy plant, being able to take fresh Irish cream, a fresh Irish cream cheese, to pasteurize that product, to homogenize it, which, a lot of bakeries that we competed with then and continue to compete with are unable to do. So we pasteurize and homogenize all our cheesecake products and all our mousses. And we got on very well with that. And from there, they once upon a time, I suppose, my dad walked into a restaurant or a hotel, and a chef asked him, would he go beyond that and make apple pies and cakes? So my dad, being the entrepreneur that he is, he decided to figure out how he might go about doing that, and got in industrial ovens and started baking apple pies and baking cakes. And we learned how to decorate the cakes and started selling those as well.
What would you say is the major challenge that you had to overcome over the last number of years?
There's been a few really big ones, I suppose. We went down the wrong pathway with some products on a couple of occasions. I suppose we went into products in kind of an ill-judged way, and we didn't do the market research. We weren't disciplined enough in our approach to doing that, and we paid the price because we didn't really have a market for the product that we ended up producing, and we had quite heavy investment in some of those products. So that was one area of challenges, and it's an area of challenge that you have to look out for every day, because every day comes a new idea, and you have to be very, very sure that your idea fits in with where you're focused, and that you're not going to get distracted and go down a road that isn't going to be profitable for you. In terms of, I suppose, one of the really big problems that we had in recent times is probably not surprising to most people listening, but getting paid is a problem these days, and we did have a major customer of ours get to a point where they were unable to pay us, so that was a big problem for us.
Tell me a little bit more about that. I presume that's one of the distributors that you had on board.
Yeah, that's a distributor that we had on board, and they were a big customer of ours. They were probably our biggest customer at the time. They had about 20% of our total business. So, I remember being at a rugby match in Dublin. It was Ireland and England the year of the Grand Slam 2009, and I remember afterwards walking out and realising that I hadn't seen a kick or a pass or a try or anything. I just wasn't there for the game because I was so focused on what was happening in the background, because 3 or 4 days previously I'd found out that this customer was going to basically be unable to pay us going forward.
How did you overcome that?
One of the things, I was very lucky in that I had, and this is, I suppose, the power of networking and keeping in touch with people, but a really good friend of mine who I was in school with, I happened to meet him for lunch one day, and he turned me on to, having credit insurance, which was something that I really wasn't aware of. I'd have to admit before that there was a possibility of doing that, and I had, followed up on it, and I was disciplined enough to go through the whole process of getting it in place, and, that really saved us because it gave us a backstop in this particular situation. So I knew straight away that we had a good chance that we would get most of our money back, and that gave me a lot of confidence into how I had to confront the situation thereafter.
What did you do to replace that particular piece of turnover? It was fairly dramatic at 20%.
Yeah, it was a difficult day. I'll tell you, the day it all dropped on us, and I suppose we had to regroup. We had to get together and have a chat about what we were going to do, and it was kind of a stand up and fight moment. You have to stand up for your business every now and again and do what's required. And in this case, we basically had to identify where all of our product was no longer available to restaurants, to hotels, and the great customers and the end users who were used to getting our quality, where they were. We had to go find out how to do that.
And how did you go about that?
Well, we had a fair idea of the territory that was involved. We knew what counties and what towns and cities that this customer of ours had been supplying. So we got out the yellow pages and we started dialing for dollars. And we literally went through it. And funnily enough, we found, we were able to uncover quite a bit of new business in this exercise, because what it entailed was literally going down through the phone book, finding all the restaurants, getting in touch with buyers, chefs, owners, and trying to arrange meetings to go in and see them. And we were hit the jackpot many times. We were able to find where the product had been going in and was no longer available. And many of those customers were really disappointed and unhappy that they no longer had access to Paganini, which was a great boost of confidence at a time when we needed it. So we were able to get straight back in and I suppose, regain that business and give it to some of our, loyal distributor customers in those regions.
Well, there was a happy ending to that particular case, which is the good news. I suppose one of the big dangers with choosing the distributor wholesale type route is that you don't have any great contact with the end user. Has that caused you much of a problem over the years?
It has the potential to cause massive problems, because the end user is the person who eats your cake, and oftentimes they don't know it's coming from a company like Paganini. They think it's in-house made, and that's our goal. Our goal is to give chefs and business owners of hotels and restaurants and coffee shops and those kinds of establishments a product that has a homemade look and feel, that people can say that, this is a fresh product made on site, because that's the kind of quality that we have to be able to produce in order to get business.
How can you ensure that your product is put forward in the best possible footing to all of those hotels and restaurants around the country by your distributors?
Relationship building. That's the key to the whole thing. And I suppose it's the key to a lot of business. You have to build very, very, very good relationships. And we aim to do that at all levels within the organization of the customers we deal with. So whether it's me dealing with the managing director of the distributor in question, the sales managers or the actual sales reps themselves, the guys who are actually slogging it out on the ground, getting the sales for their company and for mine, it's very important that we pay them a lot of attention, give them a load of respect, and give them a lot of support. So what we do is provide them with materials. We provide them with sessions where I will go and actually go on the road with them for a day. My sales reps will go on the road for a day with the customer sales reps. Building relationships, just getting to know them, getting to understand, what motivates them and what we can do for them to help them increase their sales so that they meet their numbers and they're getting something back out of it at the end of the day.
And what have the major changes within your own sector been over the last number of years?
You had the Celtic Tiger, you had a development of a real taste for quality within the end user customer base, the people who are eating the products in the restaurants and hotels. They demand quality now, but unfortunately they don't always have the money to pay the same prices as they used to have to pay, because we had crazy prices at the time. No one really seemed to mind what they had to pay for desserts and for ice cream and things like that, or for any products in hotels and restaurants. And that's changed. So now there's a huge move towards price consciousness, but the quality has to remain the same. Costs of the inputs to our products are going up all the time, but we still have to be able to provide our customers with really high quality products, but we can't get the same type of returns in terms of revenue for the products as we did in the past.
How have you overcome that problem?
One thing we did was we were able to, on the bakery side of the business at least, come up with a solution to that problem, which has worked very well for us. Traditionally, we would have normal round cakes that everyone is used to seeing with wedge-shaped slices, and we would pre-portion all our products. So you might have 12 or 14 portions of cheesecake or apple pie or chocolate cake in a cake. We didn't invent this ourselves, but we saw a big movement in countries like Germany and Holland towards a tray bake model, where you had trays of product, where you'd have flat trays with the same products in them basically, but you'd have much higher quantities of product. So you'd have maybe 44 to 48 portions per tray versus the 14 portions in the other format. So the benefits, Karl, for us now are that we can produce the same product with the same quality ingredients, no degradation whatsoever in terms of the ingredients, but we can get big economies of scale out of having to produce far fewer units of product. So our labour costs come down, our costs for packaging come down, and those cost savings can be passed on to our customers.
Barry, I know that Paganini is a client of Enterprise Ireland. How has that benefited you over the last number of years?
Basically benefited from Enterprise Ireland's funding of what's called a Lean Start programme, where we had a company called Lean Business Systems from Limerick come in and have a look at our operations and give us an understanding of how we could improve things. And basically what they were looking to do for us was identify waste in our processes. So Lean is very much revolved around 8 wastes that they have identified that are common to manufacturing. This all began with Toyota 40, 50 years ago, where they did intensive studying into all the different kinds of ways in which waste can happen in an enterprise. And that might be from a motion waste all the way through to, an inventory waste. And a motion waste would be where you and I were standing too far apart on a line, and I had to reach and stretch and maybe take 2 steps to give you the piece that I was working on so that you could finish it. So basically it's going in, looking at someone's operations and having a real in-depth understanding of how wastes like those can be eliminated from the processes.
And has there been financial savings to be had from that?
Huge financial savings and a real shift in mentality that's applicable to all situations within the business, all the way from the financial management side of the business to the actual manufacturing processes. But I can give you, an example. We would have doubled our ability to process apples in a day when we were making apple pies, just by making improvements to how we set up our line, what machines we were using. One of the skills identified in Lean is, one of the wastes, I should say, identified in Lean is called skills. And it means, having equipment or people that are underutilized. And we had a machine sitting over in the corner. It was a multi-head depositor. We were using a single head depositor on the line. It seems silly now looking back on it, but we just didn't know. We didn't notice the difference or the capabilities that machine had. And by introducing that machine onto the line, we were able to take 2 people off the line and redeploy them to a much higher value jobs in the business.
Barry, where do you think the opportunities are for your company in the food sector over the coming years?
Well, Karl, I think there's some real opportunities coming down the road. Functional foods is a big opportunity. I think there's going to be massive emphasis in the future on functional foods. I think people are already starting to look for foods that have more than just what it says on the tin. So people are looking for foods that have extra protein. They're looking for foods that are maybe enriched with omega-3 and omega-6s. And there's a lot of dairy companies out there, a lot of big multinational dairy companies doing very well by adding in vitamins and minerals and adding in, omega-3 fatty acids and things like that into their products, making them more functional and making them more useful for the person who's consuming them. In terms of Paganini, I think we can benefit from that as well. I think we're like the guy out on the sea on the surfboard, just waiting for the wave now, and we have some ideas about what we can do. Dairy is our business. Dairy's always been our business, and there's going to be a huge amount of dairy protein going to be available in the market when the milk quota is abolished in 2015. So we're looking to see how we can utilize that protein, get it into our products, and enrich our products with protein and provide it to people who would have a need for that.
So what products can we see coming down the stream from Paganini in the years ahead?
Well, one product that we're working on already, and we're actually having some success with it already, some very good success given how new the product is to us, but we're doing a protein-enriched ice cream, a high-protein, high-calorie ice cream, which we're aiming at hospitals and nursing homes. And the idea with the product is basically to give people what the dietitians that I'm dealing with in terms of researching the product and developing it, giving them food first. So taking a food that is normally consumed in a hospital setting, such as ice cream and jelly is a big favourite in a hospital and in nursing homes, and adding something to it, so putting an extra protein to it. And the impact of that protein is massive, because what that protein does, 10 grams per 100 grams of protein, what that will do is enable the patients to regain their strength much faster. And the goal and the win-win for us and for even someone like the health service executive is that even 20-30 grams of protein extra per day into a patient allows them to, on average, reduce their length of hospital stay by 2 days. And that's up to 1,400 to 1,500 euros worth of value for the state. So it's kind of, a situation where there's a little bit of value add in the product. We're going to need some more money for that product compared to the ice cream they're getting now.
I know that, the health and wellness sector is certainly a sector there with huge growth planned for the future, and certainly a good sector to be looking at from yourselves. What about the sports sector? You talk about nutrition and you talk about protein. That's very, very relevant to the sporting area. Have you looked at anything there in respect of developing a product range for that?
We have, Karl, yeah. We've developed a brand called FitFuel, and at the moment we're in the process of developing some products. We have developed some products, actually. Again, they're ice cream based. There's cheesecakes and ice cream and different products which, again, are protein enriched. And what they would do, basically, is the difference between these products now and the products we have for the hospitals are that these would be much lower in fat. So they would appeal to people from the health and wellness side of things, people like athletes, people who are serious about training. It gives them, for example, with our high protein enriched ice cream, you would have a very, very strong smoothie base, so they could make a recovery drink for themselves after hard training sessions. And those kind of things are beginning to resonate with people now, because again, people don't have as much time in their day. They want things given to them in a more convenient format. So if we can give them a base for a milkshake that already has a lot of protein in it, we can basically enable them to get something else outside of what they would have normally in say a glass of milk or something like that.
Paganini has certainly been a great success story for County Wexford. What would you consider the ingredients for business success?
I think there's maybe 4 things that are integral to the success of any business. I think you're talking about quality. Quality of people, number 1. Quality of the product that you have or the service that you deliver, number 2. Quality of the plan that you have. And quality of execution of that plan, and I think the quality of the execution of the plan is probably the one that is what lets people down. I know it's let us down in the past, and it's one that's very, very difficult to master. So our focus is hugely on execution. But you need the other elements too. I mean, without people, you can't execute anything. We have great people at Paganini. We really have fantastic people, and I couldn't say enough about them. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them. They've really got involved in the business. They believe in the business. They believe in the future of the business. They're self-learners. They're self-motivators. They come into work awake every day. And when you have people like that to work with, it just it makes a business possible, first of all, and then it gives you a runway, and you can succeed when you have people like that. And I couldn't say enough about how important people are for that reason.
Well, Barry, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for dropping by this morning, and wish you continued success with growing Paganini.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.